Mhm.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, this is my first time on this. What it's like to stream. I've seen been
Really?
everybody else's stream, but I've never done one myself. So I've never seen what it looks like from behind. See what you see.
Hmm.
Oh, it's been very interesting. You beaten up beaten up these white men. I've
What?
seen
I
you
was
on.
being nice. I was being nice, wasn't I? Come
Yeah, but
on.
it's not. Yeah, it still you still could be beaten up being nice. In actual fact, that's the most sophisticated way to do the beating. It's civilized, intellectual. You cause people to realize that maybe their thoughts are not properly together.
Well, I suppose it's a big ask to have them acknowledge that they've been lied to by their government since the 4th century, right? I mean, it's pretty traumatizing, I suppose. You know, I mean, my problem is Chinese people who are Christians. It's like, well, at least your Chinese emperor never forced you to believe in nonsense, and you know.
Right, right.
But
Yeah.
but then people will just say, well, we're just following the most powerful, empire in the whole wide world. Why wouldn't we? You know?
It's interesting to try and see where where this is all going, because as at Speaker's Corner on Sunday, and I was saying, I was kind of pushing the secular Quranism angle,
Oh,
in
will
that,
you?
yeah, to try and get people to think that separating the Quran from the Hadiths,
Hmm.
and to get people to think differently. Once again, how do you get this? When people put Kershan Resurrection Good Evening up, how do you get it off? So you can put
Oh,
messages up and then down and up and down. How do you
you
do it?
you 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 have the option of um, remove this message. I think if you
Oh yeah,
press,
hide
yeah,
current. Oh
yeah,
right,
that's
so you
right.
can show. So is Kershan Resurrection going to come up? Oh, I don't know how to bring him up. Um, you can show message. I mean, if I do that, that means it will show,
Hmm.
right, and then hide. Ah, and then so to add, do you actually add people, or do you just put the link for them to
You put the
choose
link
to?
in, and then they try to get in backstage, and then you let them
Oh
in.
yes, right. Then if they come backstage, then you add to stage, right? Like I did with you. Okay, okay.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I
So
mean,
yeah, go on.
I was just saying that sometimes if a guest gets too stroppy, you don't have to kick them out completely. You just put them backstage until they calm down, and then let them back on. If you're going to
Ah, right,
host, this kind of show.
right, 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 right. Ah, so that's how it works. So you coming on, Kershan?
Krishnan,
Krishnan.
hmm.
I'm
Do you
still
know each
here.
other?
I've been watching his stuff. I've never spoken to him live. I've just been watching his stuff over the years.
Hmm.
He's had some really interesting material.
What does he talk about? He's obviously very Hindu.
Yeah, he kind of investigates coded language, and kind of deep stuff.
Oh,
The hidden meaning behind things that most people, normal people, would see.
right.
Coded. Yeah,
Metaphysics.
that's right. Something like that. Yeah. Yeah. So I was at Speaker's Corner, and I was saying, just as a test, I was saying that Islam is racist. I was stating that out, and then people would jump in and say, "Oh no, 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 no!" And I said, I said, not the Quran, but I'm saying the Hadiths. And how are you going to separate the Quran from the Hadiths? So I was
Well,
putting that challenge out there.
yeah, I mean, I basically leave out the hadith if it directly contradicts the Quran. So, so the Quran doesn't mention stoning anyone, or, and it certainly doesn't mention stoning adulterers, but in the Hadith it says stoning will be the penalty for adulterers, but that actually comes from the Talmud.
Right, right. So the hadiths kind of dip into the Jewish, the Talmud, and yeah, yeah, and
Well,
Torah
you know
as
what I
they
think about
agree.
the Quran. I think it's too liberal. It's just like it's not enough. They want to harshen it with the Hadith, and that's basically what they've done. And then because they've done it for so many centuries,
Ah,
they're
right.
saying, "Oh, it's tradition now. We have to keep doing it because it's tradition." You know.
Yes, yeah. So I was challenging a few people with that, and saying, um, what's the, because I was kind of following your idea, it's Quran, Quran's okay because basically, listen, I haven't read it all the way through, but just listening to how you present things, and I feel quite confident to say yes, the Quran is okay, but because I'm pushing the race issue, and I
Well,
and
you're
and
not actually allowed to be racist according to Allah.
right, that's right. But and there's references that people often go to in the Quran. But I'm saying that the hadiths, I've been looking into the hadiths, and it's like blatant,
Mhm.
you know.
Well, I
So
think you can say that the hadith, that the hadith is by mortal and fallible men, while the Quran is the directly revealed word of Allah. So, in a logical world, the word of Allah has to trump the words of mortal and fallible men who are, who maybe want to punish people harshly because they
yes,
think
and
the Quran is too liberal.
that's right, that's right. So they try and make it harder. But it seems I've been thinking that maybe there's a pattern as well, because you have the Bible, then people say the Bible only, and then you have all these other books that say try to explain the Bible, and then you have the Torah, and then you have all these um uh not gurus, the oh, what are the specialists? What are the equivalents of the guru in Hinduism, or the yeah, you have the high priests. So that the high priests are kind of
The
trying to break.
Brahmins, the
Yes,
Brahmins,
and the Jewish people, they have rabbi.
rabbi.
That's it. That's it.
Mhm.
Yes. So you have the rabbi. So it seems like any religion, the core um, system, the core document, it needs to be interpreted. It's never clear enough by itself.
Yeah, yeah, because I mean, it makes sense, right? You can't just read the Torah because it's not enough because the Sabbath needs to be defined and all kinds of things actually the Torah is so harsh that they need the Talmud to soften it. So it's like two different, two opposite things.
All
So the
right,
Talmud
really, right,
softens
right.
the Torah and the Hadith harshens the Quran.
Interesting, interesting. So where does the Christian one come? The Christian model, is it halfway between the Torah and the Quran?
Well, I mean, if you ask a Catholic, it's like, they would actually tell you, we don't even follow it. I mean, it doesn't say anything clearly anyway, the New Testament. You can try reading it, but what does it say that you can confidently say, X is forbidden or required? It doesn't say. I mean, even on the subject of adultery, what's a Christian position? Like, do you stone them or condemn them, or do you forgive them and tell them not to do it again?
Right,
Because of what
right.
Jesus said, you know. Um, so it's all too vague to be of any use. So basically, traditionally, historically, Constantine, who was the Roman emperor who converted Rome to Christianity, he only converted Rome to Christianity because he felt that nobody believed in the old imperial cult. which consist of the Greek pantheon, Zeus and Hera and Aphrodite, and but given Latin names of Jupiter and Venus, etc. And the thing is, what the Romans did was worship their emperors when they died. So,
Right.
I mean, obviously, even Romans of the time didn't really believe it. And because they didn't believe, they they it's very hard to obey some rule that you don't really believe in. And I think the whole reason why the Abrahamic religions are so powerful, is that because it's organized religion, saying, well, we Jews have to believe A, B, and C, and
Yeah.
we never do, whatever, and we always do the, whatever. And this tradition has, filtered down to Gentiles in Christianity and Islam. And I think, just this requirement to all believe the same thing, or be somehow punished for it, just makes people more able to work as a group. And obviously it helps when you want to wage war and acquire empire. Organized religion is better at organized violence, and organized violence is very helpful when you want to wage war and acquire empire. And I think, whether you like it or not, but that sounds true to me.
So, what you're saying is that having rules that all the group are expected to follow helps to keep the group functioning together.
Well,
And
yeah,
you're
because
saying
it's
that's the reason why the Abrahamic faiths are success, successful. Kirshen's trying to come on, so maybe he'll
mm,
jump off and can come back again. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
So, so that
exactly
is that
so.
unique? Is that unique to the
I think so. It's unique to religious groups in receipt of divine revelation, because like Jews, Muslims will say, "Oh, our scripture is the directly revealed word of God, um, and therefore we must obey it. And our God is so powerful; he can do anything, and he knows everything, and he knows our hearts and minds, and he's watching always to see if we sin." So I guess if you really believe it, you're going to be minding your p's and q's more than if you were a Hindu or a Buddhist, right? Because there are no strict prohibitions in Hinduism or Buddhism.
mm,
Buddhism, at the most, is codified Hinduism, and it's just a personal ethical code. Well, the Abrahamic religions is, you must do X, you must think Y, and you
right?
must never do that Z. So it's very clear. Obviously over the centuries people rebel, but it creates a very simple system. It's sort of like, well, I mean, if you believe in the whole thing, then you will have to accept that suffering is punishment for sin. And if you haven't really done anything wrong, then you must be, a kind of Job figure, and you are just being tested. And if you pass a test, you will, get something better than you thought than you ever had. So I guess Job is remembered forevermore because he didn't curse God and die, as his annoying wife urged him to do when he suffered all kinds of inexplicable misfortune that he didn't really deserve
Oh,
because he hadn't done anything wrong.
I think I heard you on another stream where you're saying, I think you're using somebody's radio program, and you said you're not sure of what the difference is between um, religion and politics. I think you said something like that.
Hmm.
You're not sure, what the difference is. And then thinking about what you're saying now, that it's rules with punishment actually helps to um, keep the order, keep the society, keep the community structured,
Well,
and and
it
that,
makes
and
the rules
that
clear.
right. And having clear rules is what leads to a successful organization or entity. Is that
Well,
what you're
the
saying?
thing is, if you have clear rules, then you'll know. It's sort of like, well, obviously, the best person in this religious group will be the person who most obeys the rules, and the lowest, you know, status people are the criminals, the ones who, never keep the rules,
Yeah,
right?
but there's the other aspect where there could be flaws in the rules themselves. So is it is it the the quality and the organization and the clarity of the rules that maintains order and success and fertility in the society, or is it the number of people obeying the rules, whether they're good or not, whether they're flawed or not?
Well, I guess you can answer the question by reference to the Jews, right? So, I mean, there's actually a YouTube video about Jews being evidence of God, right? Because it was saying, look at the Jews, no one likes them, everybody wants to kill them, and they're still here. And they've been here longer than the Christians and the Muslims. So God must be protecting them.
Mm, mm, mm.
And then you say, well, they don't exactly obey their own rules. But then you could say, God is not exactly rewarding them. I mean, it could be like the story of Prometheus, um, who was kept alive just so that every day a
The
vulture
eagle,
could
that's
eat
right.
his, yeah, so the eagle could eat his liver all over again. So you could say, well, Jews just are kept alive by God um, as a moral lesson to mankind, and saying, don't be like those people.
Right, right, right. Yeah, and I was thinking about that actually. Rules, and it's almost like it, what is called the longevity of those rules. And I've been just meditating on that and thinking that um, it's like somebody's created these rules a very long time ago, and if you choose to associate yourself with those rules, then those rules will apply to you, and all the benefits of that system structure um, will come to you, and all the bad things that come with that system and structures. So, uh, by saying that, I'm saying, remember the question I asked was, is it the quality of the rules that leads to longevity, or is it the dedication of people trying to follow the rules? And I think that um, the longevity of the society is directly related to the quality of the social engineering that is designed into the rules.
I mean, you get these secular Jews, right, who um, want to claim Jewish identity, even though they don't keep the Sabbath. And even though the Torah says those who break the Sabbath are to be stoned to death. So
Right.
obviously there's some social cachet to calling yourself a Jew because they're supposed to be God's chosen people, blah, blah, blah. So I guess, some Jews might just want to claim the privilege without necessarily wanting to perform the religious obligations,
And they're not
right?
Jews, then, are
And
they? They're just, it's just like you're just claiming that you're a member of the club.
Well, the thing is, according to a rabbi who was advising Gentiles, seduced by the idea of being a Jew, it's like, you will be punished as a Jew if you convert to Judaism, and that the punishments are harsher, as are the obligations. So, unless you're sure, it's not recommended. You should just be a Noahide.
Right, 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 right.
Because
Uh,
there are 36 capital offences, right? According to the Torah. I mean,
right.
Maimonides, who is this, Jewish rabbinical sage, counted 36 capital offences in the Torah, which is quite a lot. And therefore, sort of little things like being a rude and disobedient son, breaking the Sabbath, being a citizen of a city that has gone astray, i.e., being a citizen of a city that has given itself over to idolatry, and a lot of Jews over the centuries have been living in Christendom. But I suppose technically they're not citizens, since they were just treated as foreigners, resident
And are
foreigners.
they? Yeah, and are they really Jews? You see,
You're a Jew
because they'll
if your
say,
mama was a Jewess at the time of your birth. That's how it's defined according to the ultra Orthodox.
hmm, hmm.
But
And
then
then
you could be, Christopher and Peter Hitchens. Their mother was a Jew when they were born. She just hid the fact that she was a Jewess. So she hid a Jewish identity, and they didn't discover until later, um, when. So the story was, she eloped with the with the vicar, right? She eloped with a vicar, and then
right,
they both committed suicide in a hotel in Athens. So after
wow.
that, it all came out that their mother was a Jewess, but she didn't tell her husband, obviously, because um, so. Um, but the thing is, for the ultra orthodox, they would require a reform Jew, which is the liberal kind of Jew, to undergo the process of converting to Orthodox Judaism before they will allow you to marry their son or daughter. So, so basically, Reform Jews, according to the ultra Orthodox, are heretics. Um, you
Right,
shouldn't.
makes sense. And
Yeah,
plus
yeah.
that, plus plus it leaves open to other people just claiming a woman. It's like a woman can claim that she's Jew, that she's Jewish, um, and there's nobody's who's going to question her. How can she be called a liar?
Well, she would have to prove, like, got any records and at your local synagogue of you being born, what about your mum, and all kinds of things. I suppose they can do that. I mean, I guess even the registry system, registering birth, marriages, and deaths, it began in the church, right? Because
In the church or in a
baptisms and
synagogue?
marriages and
Yeah, that's the
pardon.
church. Yes, that's the church. But does the synagogue have a similar model? And how
I think
far does it
they
go
must
back?
have. Yeah, they do, because for Jews, or people who want to go and live in Israel, they have to somehow prove their Jewish credentials, and I guess it would be, um, there would be records in the synagogue, or whatever, to give them the right to return.
Hmm,
The right,
hmm.
is it right of or right to return?
I'm not
Hmm.
sure. I'm not too sure.
But
So
but yeah,
so go on.
carry on. It's right of return. Yeah.
Right, right of return. So what if somebody says I'm Jewish, but that they destroyed, they genocided my village and they burnt all the records and stuff, but I'm Jewish. They could just make up a story, and then it'll be whether they believe. I heard that also that they're not allowed to take um, DNA tests. So
Well, it
they
doesn't really prove anything. I mean, there's no real Jewish DNA. It's basically, was your mother a Jewess at the time of your birth? And if she was, then you're a Jew. But then there will be, Jews who say, well, I still don't want you to marry my daughter because, you lived as a Gentile and you won't
right,
know, and I guess that's fair enough. Or, you can have Jews who are happy to marry Gentiles because they don't take the thing seriously.
right,
It really depends on, who you want to marry. But, actually, Jews are not supposed to marry Gentiles. So, I mean, they're quite harsh about it. I don't know if you've heard of the expression mamzer. Have you
yes,
heard?
I heard that. Yeah, yeah,
So it's basically saying you shouldn't have been born at all, right? You're the product of incest or adultery or a marriage that will never be recognized by God because it was between a Jew and a Gentile, you know.
mm.
So, um, um, I suppose I like these categories where they kind of make it clear what is expected. I mean, I know Reform Jews don't much care for this sort of thing, but it is quite legalistic. But then you think it probably is a good thing that you have these advanced legal concepts of Jews trying to make sense of their religion
And
and
how would that
trying to
apply?
enforce it.
How would that apply to secular Quranism? Because just anybody just come in and just take up, become a secular Quranist?
Um,
How do we?
well,
Will there be any border controls?
of course, of course.
Immigration.
Okay, so what I'm saying about secular Quranism is that it will restore the patriarchy, and by this I mean it will privilege married parents over non-parents and treat unmarried parents as sex offenders, and this will give this will restore paternal and parental authority to men, to married fathers, basically.
Mm.
And I know a lot of people will get upset, but at the end of the day, when if we grew up in a family where mum and dad were present, we would just instinctively understand how the world in a way was run, like we can appeal to mum, about some sibling dispute, but dad is the final court of appeal, you know,
Right,
and
right.
we sort of need to understand the structure at some level to sort of fit into society. We sort of need to respect elder sister brother and maybe boss younger sister brother around, to show them who's boss and also help
Hmm.
them. It's that kind of idea, which Confucius was talking about. He was saying, knowing how to be a human, it is for the man to know the proper relation between him and his ruler, him and his father, him and his elder brother and younger brother, and his wife and
Yeah.
daughters,
So
etc.
that's
But
that's kind of ancient. That's Chinese wisdom, isn't it? So that's
I think it applies to Europeans when they used to do things properly, don't you think?
it's a universal principle. Then.
Yeah, because it seems fair enough, right? Of course, Dad should be the final court of appeal because he's stronger than Mum, and he, brings home the bacon,
Right.
right? And
Oh,
and
uh, how I heard that that principle when it applies that I think it was the Sultan when the Sultan died, the son had to take up his position, and then all the other sons had to be killed. Have you heard about that
oh,
in
this
Ottoman?
must it sounds like the Mughal Empire, right? You must be
The
thinking of the
Mogul.
Mughals. So But then you see, they broke their own rules, these Muslims. So you know of the four wives max rule. Well, obviously,
Yeah, yeah.
obviously, these Mughal empires broke the rule when they had their imperial harem, right? And then they had all those sons, and obviously the sons
Oh,
felt they had to kill all his brothers,
so
or
that's
they'll
the
come
mess.
and get
That's what
him.
caused it. Right, 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 right,
Yeah.
right.
So you know, I think the great thing about the Quran is that you can actually work out what any civilization or even caliphate got wrong, because if they crashed and burned, you can easily find some rule of the Quran that they broke. And the
Right,
Ottoman Empire actually had an imperial harem, so obviously they broke the Ottoman empires broke the four wise max rule. and
right.
and you can even go back to Solomon, who
Yes,
was
I was about
known.
to mention Solomon actually, because I said because I heard that he was married 700 wives, and they caused him to drift.
Had 300 concubines, and he died an idolater. And then his son, who was no good, probably because his father neglected him because he spent too much time with the women,
David, yeah,
split the kingdom into two. I can never remember his name or the reason why he did it, but obviously he was no good.
Absalom, or yeah, yes, yeah. Oh no, David was David was Solomon's son, wasn't it?
King
Uh,
Solomon's son, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So yes, so that's so because some people have been asking why do I wear 666. I'd rather have 666 all over the place. And 666, they know about it from the New Testament and the mark of the beast and stuff like that. I said, well, if it's 666 is in the book of Revelation, that means it must be in the Old Testament somewhere. And but they don't know where it is in the Old Testament. And 666 is the when Solomon was at his height. Um, and all people from the world came to see him to learn his wisdom, the tribute they would pay was 666 talents of gold.
Hmm.
So it represents 666 represents like universal finance, universal banking, central banking, something like that. And its
Hmm.
modern day application would be, a universal digital currency combined with
Yeah,
digital ID. So
yeah,
yeah, that's the modern version of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
yeah, go on.
oh, I was thinking of the Messiah. Um, when he comes, is supposed to come from the Davidic line, um, and Solomon was the son of David, and Solomon had all these women. So, in fact, the Messiah could come from any part of the world.
Yes, definitely.
So they've kind of mixed it up. But I mean, the great thing is that um, the Messiah can, he's supposed to be born on to have a summer birthday, because it's a month of, he has to have a birthday on Tisha B'Av, which is sometime between July and August, and sometimes September. And I fit the bill.
Oh, you fit the bill to be a messiah.
Well, the only thing is, I'm female, but I can say, look,
Can you have female
I'm
messiahs?
not actually the Messiah. I'm not. I'm saying I'm the Messiah's substitute. Okay, I'm certainly not saying, because if the Messiah came, it would be the end of the world, and I'm saying it's not going to be the end of the world. We've got so much to live for, but only if we correct ourselves. But I'm the Messiah's substitute.
Right, right. As a principle, oh yeah. So you would be in the equivalent of Muhammad actually, because they say Muhammad was the last prophet. But if you're bringing out the Quran and bringing it, you know, into new advanced format, you could be seen as a kind of messenger. and they're
I'm just saying, look, here's my solution to your problems. I mean, the only reason people reject it is because, they're just Islamophobes. It's like, if you've ever complained about your government and you sort of know you don't really believe that Jesus is God and you're no longer a liberal or a conservative or a communist or a fascist, then, well, what else is there if you want to, follow a system of rules? And I'm saying you need to have a rule book because if you don't, you're just stuck with the problem of your ruling classes making up the rules as they go along. And a recent example would be, David Cameron saying conservatism is gay marriage.
yeah.
Because they'll
Well, yeah.
always do that in the name of Jesus, and then they'll, pretend that Jesus would agree with all kinds of things that, he probably never did, right? I mean, this is what they will do, these corrupt and incompetent leaders. When they get to the top, they'll pretend that they are representatives of liberalism or conservatism. And that's why we do need, a book of rules to protect ourselves.
So so a book of rules. I- It seems to be that that was the clash with the Catholic Church because they were saying that Peter became the official. Upon this rock will I build my church. So Peter was the first pope. So it's always been the book is always subject to the actual authority. So it's secondary. So the Protestant church, um, they kicked away the authority and made the book the authority.
Oh, you mean sola scriptura?
Is that the I've heard that before. That so sola scriptura is Latin for uh, by
The
the
book,
word the book only.
the scripture alone, yeah, and no pope, right?
Yeah, and that's Protestant that idea, isn't it?
Yes, because they're not going. Protestants are basically saying, "I'm going to be my own pope," which is, well, yeah, I mean, it's actually not workable because if you look at the Hasmonean dynasty, which is a Jewish dynasty, um, th- they crashed and burned because they ignored the rule that said the king and the priest cannot be the same person because that would because it's a separation of powers issue, right? It's like, it's like the saying, no man should be a judge in his own cause because you would be, biased in favor of yourself and against the other person. So you've
Right.
got, to find somebody who is at least a different person and hopefully impartial. So I mean, if you're, both the king and the priest, well, you're just going to do whatever you feel like, right?
So that's a fundamental aspect of successful social engineering is to keep the church and state separate. Is that what you're saying?
Well, that was what the founding fathers did because they had to keep out Christianity because Christianity was the is the religion that supports the divine right of kings, and the founding fathers were Republicans because I mean that was what Christianity was all about. It's like it's a bargain between all these European monarchs saying, without you, Pope in Rome, saying that, God supports our right to rule, we would just be warlords
Right,
and,
right,
and just, gangsters good at fighting. So, we need, in order to be thought of better by our subjects, we need some kind of authorization, somebody, who will see to our coronation and crown us and, you know,
right. So that kept the Pope in a job because the Pope was necessary to justify the right of a king to be king and family. So so the king represented that which was secular in in contrast to um, Yes, the church and state. So the church and state relationship has been a healthy model for a long time,
Well,
whether it's
I
Catholic or Protestant.
well, you see, I think we need to understand how it worked in ancient Rome. So you may know that the Latin title for Pope is Pontifex, right?
Yeah.
And before Rome Christianized, it was the title of the chief priest of the Roman Empire was Pontifex Maximus before Rome became Christian.
Oh,
So
right. Okay.
so I think this is a kind of quite significant in that um, that was what it was. They just changed its name, to
Say that
Pope.
again.
And
So Pontifex Maximus was a priest in the Roman religion.
yes, the chief priest of the Roman imperial cult.
Cult. Right, right, right. So there was a church and state division, or spiritual and secular
Well,
division.
I I mean, over the years, because Rome fell, well, I guess the church became quite powerful, um, and wanted to be, holier than, all the kings. But I suppose in practice, because the priesthood does not command armies, it has to kind of mind its P's and Q's because, the king could get really angry with a priest and, charge him with, something or other and, have him burnt at the stake. And this has in fact happened in English history, to Thomas Cranmer and William Laud. I mean, if the king got annoyed with you, Archbishop of Canterbury, he could, well, do all kinds of things to you. So,
Yeah.
just because you're, the highest priest in the country doesn't mean, you're going to escape the wrath of the king.
Yes, yes. And also, and then the king, then he's still subject to kind of the powers, because he's so concentrated on making sure, like King Henry VIII, needing a successor, needing a son, needing, s- because if they don't have a son or daughter, the proper family member, they can lose the right, with or without the high priest say so. So that's what happened with King Henry VIII, wasn't it? That he couldn't have a son. So
Yes, so that's why he wanted the Pope to annul his marriage to Catherine of Aragon, and the Pope, I forget the political reasons. I think he knew Catherine's father or something, her family or something, and anyway, he kept delaying it, and then Henry couldn't wait anymore and said, "Well, I'll break with you, Pope, and be my own Pope, but I'll hire an Archbishop of Canterbury." No, because actually, yeah, there was already an Archbishop of Canterbury, but of
mhm.
course, that Archbishop of Canterbury, instead of being answerable to the Pope, would be answerable to the British, to the English monarch.
Hmm. I mean, that's quite a brave thing to do, isn't it? Because for him to go up against the whole of Rome, then that justified other armies and other nations
Yeah,
to go up against him, to
yeah, I think
war.
the
It's very
Reformation. I mean,
dangerous.
yes, well, it was so dangerous that um, that there was something called the European War of Religions, right? And it was a very horrible war, and
Oh,
lots
the
of
30 Years'
Europeans
War.
died.
Do you
30
think
years
that
it war, yes.
that was the start of the 30, or that caused that was an aspect of the 30 Years' War? Wow. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
well, the most horrible thing about
once the war starts, and where's the authority? How uh, who are you going to turn to? So it's just chaos. and with the chaos just comes violence, and there's how do you stop it? Because everybody can say, well, why should I listen to you? Yeah, wow, it's
Yeah,
a
I
mess.
think until they got tired of it, um, they carried on fighting. But it was such a terrible war that that so many Europeans became cannibals, and I think they decided not to punish them for killing other people to eat them, because then there'd be even fewer Europeans if they were properly punished for their cannibalism. I mean, I think the story of Hansel and Gretel you know, came from that part, that time in their history.
What happened? Remind me. I know the stories of Hansel and Gretel, but remind me of the story.
Um, their parents were so poor they couldn't keep them anymore, and they took them into the forest to lose them. And the first time they came back, because Hansel used pebbles, and they managed to find their way back, with a trail of pebbles. And the second time, he could only have breadcrumbs, and of course, the animals ate them, and they couldn't come back. And then they found this wonderful house that was made of food, like sweets and bread and whatever, right? And then they were attracted to it, and in there lived a witch who captured them and kept
Oh,
them to put in the oven when they were properly fattened up.
awful.
And but anyway, Gretel fooled the tricked the witch, and um, pushed the witch into the oven when it was time for Hansel to be put in the oven. Well, anyway, that's a
And then they
story.
ate the witch.
I don't think so. Ugh, yeah, 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 yeah.
Right, yeah, I understand that those kind of nursery rhymes or myths all would, yeah, because that period, it would have to be some way of putting it into a story to tell the children. It's like ancestral memory.
Yes, I suppose
Comes back
that
here.
during the 30 Years' War, people would kind of try and trick children, to slaughter them and eat them, because I guess they would just prefer to eat children.
Yeah,
Because
because with a crash of the economy, then food and all this is a mess.
well, I think it's also because of this sort of total war thing, when crops were destroyed, and you
Yeah.
know I mean, they were quite ruthless, and I mean, they burned houses down to stop the other side from using them, and
Mm.
that kind of thing. And this would be forbidden under the Quran, saying, do not just poison wells, do not cut down trees, do not hurt anybody who isn't actually a soldier. um, but anyway, I guess those Europeans who weren't Muslim just didn't keep to those rules, and suffered terribly as a consequence. Right, because I mean, you look at them now; they don't care. I mean, King Charles is praying with the Pope about something or other, and so they've completely forgotten all about it. But at the time, they killed lots of Europeans over something they don't care about anymore. But then
And, uh, yeah, I was watching there was a movie made of King Henry VIII, and the situation that we were discussing, and it was about Thomas, and how he was eventually killed, and that he was, the movie is about how he was trying to battling with them, trying to get him um, to to support the king, but he kept to his Catholic values. But watching that movie, I got the sense that King Henry VIII was trying to. was trying to get Thomas to and the Pope to agree to the annul, the marriage being annulled, because if 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 he didn't get a son, there will be more warfare and bloodshed. So it was it was for the good of the whole kingdom to become Protestant, just to try and avoid war.
Well,
But
the English Reformation was kind of separate from the European one, right? I mean, the continental one with Martin Luther nailing his 95 thesis to, well, which church was it? But I think that was 1517. I think it started earlier. But it was, well, in the same century anyway. But I mean, there were different reasons. So basically, Martin Luther was saying, the whole Catholic Church is corrupt because of its selling of indulgences,
yeah,
right?
that's right. Setting up indulgence,
Um,
trying to do the Christ-like thing,
so
turn the table over, turn the table of the money makers. Because the setting of
mhm.
indulgence is the same thing as turning the table over of the you know, making
Yeah,
the
so
house of God.
it started in 1517 in Germany when he posted his 95 theses, criticizing the Catholic Church's practices. But the Henry only started his thing in 1529.
So
So
that's
so he
what's this?
broke from Rome in 1529. So
Right,
it's after Luther that Henry decided he'd kind of, you know, carry on this
right.
rejecting of the Pope's authority.
Hmm. And I think I suppose it makes you think about the concept of authority, that sometimes, no matter how corrupt the authority gets, it's uh, it's always better than not having authority, because without that authority, you just get 30 years of war
Well,
non-stop.
you get nothing done if you don't have a leader, right? You
Yeah,
know, I mean,
the concept of
it's
justice
just
itself.
literally a fact that you won't get anything done if you don't have a leader.
Yeah, there's no way around it.
Mm.
Even a so here's the question: is a poor leader better than no leader at all?
Well, I guess that would be a beginning, right? You have a bad leader, so you think, if the poor leader doesn't completely get you all killed, um, and you survive to fight another day, you might choose a better leader, or you're just, not able to recover yourself. But if you have no leader, then nobody will do anything.
Yes, so therefore, yes, so if there's a poor leader or a bad leader that has to be gotten rid of, there has to be a proper ritual, because if you get rid of that leader in a bad way, it will be disrespect to the next leader to follow, or there won't be another leader to follow. So it's a very high level ritual, um, to get rid of a leader that is doing poorly. Usually they say, leave it to the higher forces.
Well, I don't know if you saw, these sort of historical dramas where, the king is dead, long live the king. You
Yeah,
know, one sentence follows another, without any break. So with the idea that as long as you know who is supposed to inherit the crown after the current king dies, you're okay. There's not going to be a big civil war to decide who will be the next king.
right.
Like the War of the Roses, which was a terrible thing, but in the end, it united the English crown, and well, that was better than civil war.
The War of the Roses. I remember hearing about it. I thought that was civil war.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it was two rival royal houses fighting each other. But when a victor was finally declared, um, the whole of England was properly united under one royal
Right,
house,
right,
which
right.
brought a bit of peace for a while,
Until
because
they're
that
foreign.
was the end of the Plantagenets, and the beginning of the House of Tudor.
Right, right. Mm.
So the Plantagenet um, dynasty ended and the Tudor dynasty started, and went on for a while. So I guess you can call it successful.
It makes you wonder how you know yeah, it had other societies that have been going for thousands of years. Like Egypt. I wonder what kind of system that they had. Because if you have a system that is stable for 1,000 years, the things that you can develop and build must be amazing. Must be amazing to live in a society like that.
Yeah, I mean, we know from Egyptian history that Akhenaten tried to change the religion of Egypt. Right? He favored monotheism, because I mean, probably he was, he found that the priest, saying, "I'm the priest of Isis, I'm the priest of, Horus, Osiris, and all the different ones." Like, it's a bit of a pain, protecting their own patches, and
Yeah,
basically Akhenaten said, "No, I'm the intermediary. Worship the sun disk Ra through me."
yeah.
So, to bypass, all the
Squabble
priesthood.
between the different. Yeah, they're like different denominations, wouldn't they? I imagine
Mm.
all worshiping their different god, but all the gods were of the one family. And
But I mean, even he couldn't do it, because I mean, he actually moved the capital up north, I think, and yeah, he couldn't do it. So when he died, everything just went back to what it was before.
yeah, that's right. And they scribbled his name out,
Yes.
chiseled his name out.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it didn't catch on because there was no, story to it. It was obviously, made up. But I guess, the idea of monotheism is quite powerful, because um, after that, um, Abraham was supposed to be born, and his idea of monotheism is a compassionate God. You know, he it was a God that said, "Oh, I don't need you to sacrifice your son to please me. In fact, I now forbid human sacrifice." So that might have been, more appealing than, worshipping the sun god Ra. Or they just wrote better stories. I don't know.
and I wonder if all the different gods required their own sacrifices, so they're trying to minimize the amount of sacrifice taking place. Because there was no information about that. Maybe they were making sacrifices as well. Tricky.
Well, I think they just got better at storytelling, right? I really think that if you compare, the stories of Hinduism, it's like it's really long, it's really complicated. It doesn't seem to illustrate any particular moral. But
Right.
even now, even if you don't believe in Adam and Eve, it's like, ooh, who was to blame? And you know, and then we can speculate on, what if Adam and Eve had eaten from the tree of life instead of the tree of knowledge? Then God couldn't have killed them, could they? could he?
Right. And that story, I think whoever wrote that story um, had a very deep understanding of, social engineering. And also I remember somebody saying that Zamani, right, that when the story gets really, really old, then it moves into myth. But actually, all the myths are based on real things that took place such a long time ago. It moves into that realm of myth, um, which uh, can be misunderstood to be the abstract. In
Uh,
contra, yeah,
I'm not quite sure what you mean. I don't. Could you expand a little bit?
yeah. So my friends were saying that the Greek um, philosophers, they they set up an ideal, an abstract ideal, and then everybody works towards that ideal. Society is built around an abstract idea,
Mm-hmm.
and then everybody works towards that idea. Society is built around an aspiration to that idea, which is just an abstract idea. But what the Africans were saying, that none of their ideas are abstract, although they may appear to be, because they're, the, the events occurred such a long time ago, they've gone into the realm of myth. So myths can be misinterpreted to be just abstract ideas. So a society built around myth, that is reality that took place such a long time, very, very long time ago, will be different from a society that is built around an abstract idea. Does that make sense?
Well, I mean, isn't God an abstract idea? Abstract ideas are, ideas like goodness and evil and justice and fairness and that kind of thing.
No, because they're saying that God is an egregore. I think that's the word, the egregore, where um, it's just a collective thought, um, or the collective
Is it?
imagination.
I mean,
Yeah, let's look at that word. Look up the word egregore. Egregore.
it's a non-physical entity or thought form that arises from the collective thoughts and emotions of a group.
Yes,
But I mean,
yes.
why do we have to use this long word when God will do better?
Because well, well, that's the word, that's the entity, but then you're giving that thought form a name, like God or Allah. You see, whilst what the Africans are saying, that they, they never had these abstract thought forms. Everything came out of experience, something real. Um, and then just like if you have a set of rules that you've developed for survival in the environment, sometimes the best way to pass on those wisdom, those rules, is in story form to the children, because the children might not be able to understand it. Also, they use forms of stories um, to
Mm-hmm.
to uh, to explain um, principles
Mm-hmm.
and formulas of science, but they're actually based on real things. But they're just put in story form in order to explain something that is real and that has been experienced. In contrast to a group making up a story just for the sake of a story. It's not based on anything real. So
Um,
does it make sense? Can you see the
well, I mean,
difference?
obviously,
Very
these
similar.
stories have a moral, right? I mean, like Aesop's fable, you're telling the story to illustrate a point. Is that what you're trying to say?
Right. Right. So the morals, the moral of the story could be that there's two paths. The moral of the story comes as a result of the egregore or just social interactions, or it could come as a result of scientific methods or principles that are ancient. So not based on
I don't know why
feeling,
you're.
not so much based on feeling, but based on principles. It's this subtle difference.
Well, I confess I'm a little confused. I don't know why you want to use egregore when we can use God. And for those who deny God, they can still talk about God as a concept, can't they? But
Yes, yeah, but here's the thing. See, there's the universe, and then there's an egregore comes comes out as a result of a group of people, the mindset of a group of people. But what the Africans are saying, they're saying that the universe is a lattice. It's like a lattice of principles. And
I don't know what that means. A lattice of principle.
yeah, so therefore, um, yeah, how can I say? It's like I haven't got the language. Like they say
But
that
the
there's
Zulus
only
have a god.
pardon.
The Zulus have a god, don't they? They have a the Zulus are, are monotheists, aren't they?
Yeah, but all these different gods, whether the God or Allah or Krishna or whatever, these are all entities that are tied to a particular group of people within the universe. So what they're saying is that all these gods are just creations within the universe. The universe is beyond those gods. The gods are in the universe. The universe is over and above God. God couldn't have God couldn't create the universe. The universe always was. So it's quite similar to the name of the universe can't have a name. There can't be a name. It can be a name of a god or a name of a spiritual leader, but you can't name the universe because in order to name it, you'd have to be able to get outside of it. Be able to, be able to give it. Where would you be in order to give it a name? Who are and what are you in order to name it? So the universe is beyond name. It's beyond.
Well, you just named it. You just named the universe, and then people say God created the universe. So, what is the problem?
um, God created the universe.
Yes, and created humanity, and he divided humanity into Jews and Gentiles,
Hmm.
and nations and tribes.
Hmm.
But I mean,
Yeah, but even that word universe is you're correct. Even the word universe is, you know, it's like uni, the one, which goes back to what you were saying about that Egyptian pharaoh.
yeah, because it's a power of one, right?
Yeah, but I can imagine the other temple, the other worshippers of all the other gods saying, "How can you say one? How can you use the word one when applying to when you look up at night and you see all those stars out there? How can you say one? Where does the concept of one come in? Where does the concept of one fit in? Because you can look up, you can look down, you can look to the right, you can look. Where's the one? There is no one. It's just infinitely multiple.
Well, the idea is that one is simple and one is supreme, right? Isn't that the idea? Like, well, one just makes everything simple, and then, well, more than one, which one to choose? If there's only one, you just choose the only
Well,
one.
the one would fit in that. Okay, we are here looking out into the stars, so we're we are on this planet. Therefore, the one could apply to this planet because this is one planet amongst many other planets. So the concept of the one could be, well, that's us or the I, or where we are. But so therefore, the one would really, you could say, yeah, the one is where you are, but the universe cannot be captured in one.
Well, there's only one universe as far as we know.
As far as we know, that's right. Exactly, but we don't know because of the concept of infinity, where they say there could be many universes. So it, it's only speculation because out there is so vast. Just the concept of one doesn't really suit. It doesn't fit. It
So
fits.
I'm not sure. Do you whether you believe in God or not? I was thinking that you didn't, but maybe I'm wrong.
Um, my understanding, or God is really, yeah, or Allah, they're egregores of the collective mind.
Okay, so basically, you seem to be saying that humanity feels the desire to worship a supreme being. Is that an accurate statement of what you're thinking?
Um, yes, and that goes back to the earlier parts of the conversation where you were talking about there has to be an authority. So
A
humanity needs
supreme authority.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So you have the Supreme Court or the Supreme. So in order to have some order, there has to be a source, a central source of authority in order to function properly. Um, so they have to construct one or find one or make one, but there has to be a center of authority. Um, but that rule doesn't apply to the universe
Why not?
because the sun is just one star, and I heard it's very small.
No,
So
but I mean, okay, we live in a solar system. The universe is unimaginably vast, and God was supposed to have created it to show us how, super powerful He is. And if if indeed such a being did create the universe and us, what are we to make of this information other
if
than to obey His laws
mm,
and stay on the right side of God to go to the better place in the afterlife?
if there's an afterlife, mm,
Yes, and um, some people might doubt the existence of the afterlife, but we go back to um, the nature and purpose of religion, which regulates human behavior and
yeah, which would be to make the current life as long as possible and as happy as possible.
yes,
So
it's supposed to bring
it's
about
social
good
engineering.
government.
Yeah, so good engineering. That's just like a Rolls Royce. So a Rolls Royce, you'd expect it to last longer, to run smoother and to be more comfortable. That's engineering. So social engineering. So you can have good engineering, so Rolls Royce, Mercedes, and you can have poor engineering. Maybe just in contrast, maybe just a bike. You know, but it's still engineering. So social engineering follows the same principles. Advanced social engineering results in a society that is fertile, comfortable, and happy people. And then poor social engineering just results in chaos and violence.
Yeah. So we basically want a society where the laws are just and the government is good.
Yes, and where the laws are just and the government is good, the society will prosper and last longer. So the length of the longevity of the society is directly um, relative to the quality of its social engineering, the quality of its laws.
Yes, and I think it's also related to empire because, if you run a successful empire, then the people you conquered, are kind of happy you conquered them because you gave them better government than what they would have got on their own.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Yes. 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 So it's just better social engineering. People would say, you know what, we built this car, but we prefer your car. Oh, Kirshnan's back. Are you coming on? Oh, you tried to get in. Oh, you've been trying to get in. Okay.
Oh, I wonder what the problem is with him. Hmm.
Yeah, I
Oh
don't know.
well.
Yeah.
But will you be keeping this stream?
Hmm?
Will you
Yeah,
be keeping the
I'm
stream?
keeping. I don't know how to keep it. I'll just leave it. If I just leave it as
Well,
it is.
you can call it something other than test.
Oh, right. Okay. What would you suggest it should be called? How do I
Um,
save it? Oh, edit. Oh, do I
well, I
click
mean,
edit?
I mean, it will, already be there, once it's finished. But I
Okay.
suppose it should be given a title other than test. Um,
Uh,
uh, mm,
social engineering.
mm, religious social engineering.
Yes, yes, that's right. Religious social engineering. Yes, yeah. Oh well, this was nice because
Hmm.
I was a bit bored. I thought, oh, nobody seems to be out. Nobody seems to be doing streaming. So let me try this thing.
Well, I'm glad it's turned out well for the both of us.
Mm.
I'll share this,
Oh,
and and perhaps some people will find it useful or
yes,
interesting. Well, I suppose you could call it the egregore, the
yes. The egregore. That's right.
social
Let's get that word
engineering,
out. Yeah.
religious social engineering by the egregore.
That's right. Religious social engineering by the egregore. Great. Well, thank you very much for coming through and educating
Well,
me on these and how to stream. It's been my first time. So
right.
it's good. Take care.
You too. Thanks
Take
a
care.
lot.
Bye bye.
Bye.